Welcome to the Community Difference Plano, powered by the Difference Media LLC, and hosted by Jax Crider with Financial Mastery Simplified, Harvey Lucier with Twilight Cleaning Services, Traci Duff with Assisted Living Locators, Cyndi Durrance with Right at Home, In-Home Care and Assistance, Susanna Austin with K9 Resorts, Audra Hooper with Audra Hooper Integrated Health, and by Kirk Hodgson with Assured Partners. The Community Difference Plano was created to serve as a platform for local leaders and business professionals to showcase their expertise, values, and commitment to their community. Overall, the podcast aims to create a stronger sense of community in North Texas by highlighting the often overlooked or unnoticed good work being done by local leaders, businesses, and professionals. So sit back and relax as our hosts, co-hosts, and their guests share inspirational stories, experiences, thoughts, and insights about being professional, along with the opportunity for our businesses to serve our communities in very special ways. Because a Community Difference Plano starts now.
Hey. Well, welcome to the Community Difference Plano. We are a podcast firmly rooted at the intersection of business development and community involvement. I am your host, Jax Crider with Financial Mastery Simplified, and welcome to episode 64. And so we are so excited to have you. We've got some amazing guests and co-hosts for you today. And so with that in mind, Lyndon, will you please bring in Miss Traci Duff? Let's talk a little bit about her. Miss Traci Duff, a senior living expert with a whistle that could stop traffic and a karaoke rendition of Rapper's Delight that deserves its own mic drop. As a face of Assisted Living Locator, she's all about turning scary decisions into feel-good stories. Get ready as Traci shows us how unforgettable content isn't just about being loud, it's about being real enough to stick. Welcome, Traci. How are you doing today?
Good. I like that intro.
Absolutely. What are you excited about for today?
Today we have the incredible Scott Simson on that I am so excited. I saw him on the big stage about 4 years ago, and this guy is full of knowledge. So yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right. And next you can go ahead, Lyndon, and bring in Miss Cyndi Durrance, a conversation queen who can outtalk anyone and once introduce a sports anchor with someone else's bio. Cue the awkward applause. As the voice behind Right at Home, she knows that clear communication isn't just nice, it's necessary. Get ready as Cyndi shows us how powerful messaging starts with knowing your audience and double checking your cue cards. Hey, Cyndi, welcome.
Thanks.
So what are you excited about for today?
I am looking forward to the creative content of both of our guests. I've seen some of Tiffany Dutcher's creative content, and it's amazing. And I am wanting to expand on that and find out what else I can learn.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. All right. Well, our very first guest, what Traci already kind of teased out, is you could meet Scott Simson, a sparkling water chugging champion, once knocked himself out on a rope swing because he forgot to let go. As a powerhouse behind Raffiti Media, Scott knows exactly what separates viral content from background noise. Get ready as he shows us how to turn big dreams into even bigger reach without crashing into trees along the way.
Clever. Very clever. Was that?
I mean, you need a good hook, right? Isn't that the point, Scott?
Just kidding. That was good. I like it.
What are you excited about for today's show?
I am excited. You know what? I spend so much time talking to people all around the world, right? With social media on YouTube specifically. I've got a number of channels that I mean, a worldwide reach, right? That's the power of YouTube. I don't get to talk to a lot of people that are hyper local, and being in Dallas, I don't even go to events. I'm kind of a shut-in. I work in this like room here, and I talk to people all across the world. But today I'm excited to talk to people who are local.
Yeah, I love that. And last but certainly not least, and again, Cyndi went ahead and teased this one out. Meet Tiffany Dutcher, the cheer move master who once flipped straight into a twisted ankle on her first date. Spoiler alert, it worked out. As a powerhouse behind Encappture, Tiffany knows that showing up matters, but standing out is the real flex. Get ready as she shows us how to create content that's bold, magnetic, and impossible to scroll past because you are the occasion. Welcome, Tiffany.
Hi, how are you guys?
Great. So tell us what you're excited about for the show today, Tiffany.
I'm most excited to talk to the community of Plano. I started my first business at 23 in Plano, so I kind of say it's the community that raised me as a businesswoman. Back then, social media wasn't really a thing, not to age myself. So it's kind of fun to talk about a topic that I didn't really use in my arsenal back then, but is very powerful now for businesses.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can't wait. The topic of the month is going to be amazing. And before we get there, we're going to do some amazing events that are happening here local in our area. And so on the flip side of this break, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Plano with a very special guest from Parks and Rec.
The Community Difference Plano is made possible by Harvey Lucier with Twilight Cleaning Services, Traci Duff with Assisted Living Locators, Jax Crider with Financial Mastery Simplified, Susanna Austin with K9 Resorts, Audra Hooper with Audra Hooper Integrated Health, Cyndi Durrance with Right at Home, In-Home Care and Assistance, and by Kirk Hodgson with Assured Partners. The Community Difference Plano. Together, we can make the difference. And now, back to the show.
Are you ready? Because it's time for
What's Up Plano?
All right, and welcome back. So as I alluded to before the break, we do have a very special guest, which Traci, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce her.
Okay, yes, we do. We have a special guest coming to us from Plano Parks and Rec. Her name is Angela O'Connell, and she is public relations and community liaison for the City of Plano Parks and Rec. Welcome, Angela.
Hi, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, tell us what's going on. What's going on in Plano Parks and Rec that we need to know about?
Well, I'm going to tell you about two events that we have coming up. And then if we have time, I'd love to talk a little bit about some projects that we have going on as well. First up on May 17th, coming up on Saturday, we're going to have a water safety fair that's going to be held at Jack Carter Pool. And that's part of recognizing May as Water Safety Awareness Month. And that's open to all ages and no registration is required for that one. And then additionally, we have the Senior Information and Wellness Fair. That's coming up on Wednesday, May 21st, next week. That's at Sam. Yeah, you are more than welcome to be there. That is at Sam Johnson Recreation Center. And it is a wealth of information, both for retirement age and pre-retirement age. So maybe I will be there as well. There will be free health screenings, hand and chair massages, and more than 60 vendors with all sorts of different information for you guys out there. So those are the two main events that we have coming up in May. And now for some super exciting projects that we have going on. We have a park called Big Lake Park. And right now it is having a pond restoration project going on. And so what that means is that there's a system called a hydraulic sediment removal. And it's going to be removing sediment and silt and debris that's on the bottom of that pond. And it's a really big project. It's beginning just last week on May 12th, and it's expected to end December of this year. But yesterday I visited the site, and it was really neat. Prior to them doing the pond restoration, they are relocating the aquatic habitats that live currently at the bottom of that pond. So yesterday they were literally it was like a scuba diver going down and searching the bottom of the pond for mussels, these really large mussels, and they're relocating them in a different place so that they can remain healthy and thrive in their little mussel life. So there's that going on. And then for those of you who are not familiar with this other large project that's going on, Tom Muhlenbeck Recreation Center is also going under a renovation. There's going to be a new children's play structure, a new pool deck. A lot of the renovations that are going on will not be as pretty that we're getting this big new grand thing. It's going to be very much paint and HVAC and things that are happening behind the scenes, a new locker room and things like that. But we're very excited about that. And it's also expected to be completed in December of 25.
Wow, lots of good stuff.
Yes,
Yeah, I was
ma'am.
gonna say that's awesome. I think Tracy, you've got a few things to talk about as well.
Yeah, we've got Memorial Day coming up. So on Monday, May 27th at 7 p.m., the American Legion Post 321 is putting on a Memorial Day celebration or ceremony at the Plano Veterans Memorial Park. It's going to highlight, posting the colors, a Pledge of Allegiance, all of which we don't do as often as we should anymore, I believe. National anthem, invocation, proclamation, all that kind of stuff. With, of course, a 21 gun salute and taps. It should be a very touching and rememberable little memorial out there for Memorial Day. Also on Monday, the 27th, from 12 to 6 p.m. in Plano at the Texas Pool, the historic Texas Pool, they're going to have a remembrance ceremony at 3 p.m. They're going to have performers, food trucks, snack bar, picnic areas, pool games, cannonball contest, all that kind of great stuff for the families. Entry fee is just $10. And active duty military and veterans swim for free with an ID that day. So that should be a good family experience. And then lastly, on my list, I've got the Boots and Barbecue at Legacy Hall. This is going to be all Memorial Day weekend, all day. Country music, craft beer, barbecue. They've got general admission tickets and VIP tickets. But this is an all-day boot scooting kind of Texas celebration for Memorial Day. There's going to be complimentary glass of the new Legacy Ultimate Light Lager. That's right up my alley. I need to taste a new beer.
I was going to say, you're a beer drinker, Tracy. So yeah.
Well, yeah. Imagine why I came up with that for this thing. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to say, I think one of our guests, Tiffany, I think you've got like maybe a book coming out. Is that right?
I do. It's actually for home care. Funny enough, we have 3 of us that work with the senior population on here, maybe 4. I know Plano does as well. But yes, it's called The Unfiltered Truth About Home Care. It's for all those home care owners out there that are getting started or maybe stuck, kind of looking at it through a leadership lens.
That's awesome. Well, when does your book come out?
It should be out in November.
Okay, awesome. And I think a little bit on the horizon as well, Scott, you have an event that is coming up here locally in Dallas.
Yeah, so we have AI Marketing World coming up at the beginning of October, the 9th through the 11th. That's going to be at the Regency Frisco Hotel that's attached to, oh my gosh, whatever that,
Stonebriar
what's
Mall.
the mall out there? What
It's
is
okay,
it?
Stonebriar.
Stonebriar. Yes, attached to Stonebriar. So business owners, marketers, anybody who is wanting to learn how to better integrate AI into your company for marketing, you should be there.
Well, and as I said on several episodes, you better get on the bus with AI or it's going to get run over. You're going to get run over by it. So it's probably a good place to be if you're a business owner, for sure.
And Scott, what are those dates again?
October 9th through the 11th.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I'm going to highlight a few things here, Lyndon, if you'd be so kind to pop up some of these. First off, we have got Abracadoodle. So for those of you who don't know, one of our co-hosts, Miss Debbie Watson, she runs Abracadoodle here locally. And let's be real, our kids are getting out of school and we don't know what the heck to do with them. So what about summer camp, right? You're not going to a park or taking them to a pool. Here's some great opportunities. There is tons of different summer camps you could sign them up for. And they're literally anywhere from the Colony Rec Center, a Lakefront Rec Center, Alcone School. So if you're in the DFW area and you're looking, you got a budding artist, here's some great opportunity for them. Next up, our Plano Police Department spoke last week, but I'm going to also speak to it again. The Shelby Car Show, that is coming up on May 31st from 9 to 1. And the Plano Police Department will be out there as well. But this is a great opportunity to go and see some cool cars and listen to some live music, all that kind of good stuff, food trucks, the whole nine. So go out and see our Plano PD. Then our friends at Visit Plano gave me a couple of things to highlight. So the first one is going to be Legally Blonde. So Legally Blonde, the musical, is coming from June 20th to June 29th at the Courtyard Theater in Plano. So if you liked the movie, here's a good opportunity to go see it as a musical and support local artists. The next one, we don't have a splash screen for, but there is going to be karaoke night. It's going to be at McCall Plaza. If you don't know where that is, that's in downtown Plano. It's actually very close to my mom's store. And they're doing several of them. So the first is going to be May 23rd. They're always going to be 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. They're doing another one June 6th, then July 3rd, and then August 1st. So you like to sing your heart out like Traci does, catch her down there at McCall Plaza. I'm not sure. She might be singing Rapper's Delight maybe. So, it could be a fun experience for the whole family.
So.
And then again, you can tell what my bent is. It's more of the arts because the Plano Symphony, that is going to be May 17th. So coming up here just in a few days. And it's going to be at the Red Tail Pavilion. It is an outdoor concert. It's $20 for adults and then $18 for seniors, military, first responders, and children 12 and under. So this is a great opportunity to go out. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, let's talk a little bit about the BDA. And Traci, first of all, I want you to tell like what you've experienced at the BDA, and then I'll talk a little bit more about where it is and what we're doing with it.
Yeah, the BDA has been wonderful. It's really opening up doors to get those local entrepreneurs and business leaders together in a comfortable, casual situation while networking and then learning. It's kind of your one-stop shop. So I've gotten a ton out of this and meeting people that I haven't met and learning lots of good tidbits along the way for marketing and moving and growing our businesses.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I'll talk a little bit about it too. So first of all, for those of you who aren't really kind of quite sure, like what is BDA? So BDA stands for Business Development Alliance, and it is for the whole of Collin County. Basically, our focus is on developing business people, right? And so it gives us the opportunity to really connect. We do some networking kind of on the front end. It is totally free, but you do have to RSVP. That's why that QR code is right there, right? But it is an amazing opportunity to be able to connect with other leaders. And then once the networking piece is done, we then move into having a guest. Sometimes it's one guest, sometimes it's a few guests. We usually kind of like a panel. And this time, the really cool part is we're going to be having a group of 5 guests. They are Chamber of Commerce representatives, and they're going to be representing Wiley, Salina, Plano, McKinney, and Frisco. So pretty much all of the local chambers in Collin County, which is really, really awesome. And so this is a really great opportunity for not only for you to come do some free networking, but also really start connecting with some of those local chambers, right? Maybe you've been curious to kind of hear about what the chambers stand for, what that looks like. Here's a really good opportunity for you to be able to kind of connect in with that and really kind of do that. And so it's going to be happening in Frisco at the NAC Theater. And so it's 11:30 to 1. And I highly, highly recommend you guys RSVP because there only is so many spots and seats for you to be able to come into. And so please, please, please go ahead, RSVP. We would love to see you at the BDA. I know myself and probably Traci, we're going to be there. And so we want to be able to shake your hands and meet you in person. And so, yeah, so it's really, really awesome. So unless anybody else has anything else to say about all the awesome things going on in our area, I think we'll kind of put a bow on the what's up. Thank you, Angela, so much for coming in and being a representative of our local Parks and Rec and kind of let us know what's going on. And we know as summer comes, so important, right, to get out there and utilize those great Parks and Rec here in our area. And Plano does an amazing job with that. So we really appreciate you being our guest and coming on. And on the
you.
flip side of this, go ahead.
No, just thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was totally our pleasure. And on the flip side of this commercial break, we're going to come back and we're going to start talking about the business topic of the month. And what is the business of the topic of the month, you ask? Well, we are talking about content, and not just content, but we all know it's important to create content with this in this kind of social media charged world, but not just content, the secrets of creating content and making sure that we're actually getting results. Because if we're just putting it out there and our mom's watching it and that's not exactly what we're looking for. So stay tuned. On the flip side of this commercial break, we're going to start talking a little bit about the secrets of creating content that actually gets results.
The Community Difference would like to thank each of the following partners for their continued support. At Fireboss Realty, we believe life is about relationships, and everything else is just details. Whether you're buying or selling, Scott and Amy Johnson are here to understand your family's unique needs and deliver expert guidance on the North Texas real estate market. With a reputation for integrity and personalized service, Fireboss Realty makes your home journey stress-free and successful. Ready to make your move? Visit firebossrealty.com and let's ignite your real estate dreams.
Everyone deserves access to affordable health insurance, but with traditional insurance, costs can be high and getting coverage can be complicated. JP Direct Health is a simpler, more affordable way to get the health coverage you need. With plans for individuals, families, and small businesses, you can save money on monthly premiums without the need for physicals. At jpdirecthealth.com, we specialize in customizing coverage to fit almost every budget with affordable PPO plans and many other benefits. With over 100 5-star Google reviews, JP Direct Health is a trusted resource making health insurance affordable and accessible for everyone year-round. Affordable health insurance solutions are a proactive protection, not a reactive solution. Visit jpdirecthealth.com today and see how much you can save.
I'm always here to help. Thank you.
Total Care Emergency Room now has 9 locations in the DFW Metroplex. With no appointment needed, our incredible staff will get you checked in with no wait times. Our 5-star facility is open and fully staffed 24/7. We offer extensive treatment options for patients of all ages, providing on-site labs and imaging equipment, including CT, X-ray, and ultrasound, allowing us to provide fast, convenient care for our community. Total Care ER is your neighborhood emergency room. TotalCare.us.
Unwanted pests in your home can be stressful. From creepy crawlies to critters under the floorboards, they disrupt your peace of mind. But don't worry. All Pest Solutions is here to help. We offer a comprehensive range of safe and effective pest control solutions. We target all types of pests, big or small, including insects, rodents, and wildlife. All Pest Solutions, your local experts for a pest-free home. Breathe easy and enjoy your life again. Call today for a free quote. 972-442-1169 or email us at customerservice@allpestsolutions.com.
To belong is one of our most basic human needs. Best Buddies International is the world's largest organization dedicated to ending the social isolation of 200 million individuals who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. We focus on meaningful one-to-one friendships, integrated employment, leadership development, and inclusive living. You have the power to make an impact, create change, and champion our mission of inclusion today.
Now back to the show.
All right. Well, welcome back. And obviously, like I said just before the break, we are talking about the secrets to creating content that gets results. And why is it that we're talking about that? Well, the truth is that a lot of people, a lot of business owners are really well aware that in the current state of affairs, right, that we are so connected socially that we need to create content. And it's not that they're not creating content, and it's not even necessarily that they're bad necessarily at writing or talking. The problem is that they're not creating stuff that's relevant, that is relatable, and that is results driven. So we're going to kind of dive into a conversation about, what does this look like? Like, how do we make sure that we are sort of staying ahead of the curve? Because the truth of the matter is, I mean, as a business owner, I don't know about you, but I'm not just trying to make content that my best buddy likes or my mom, my brother, or whatever. Like, that's not the goal here, because I hope they want to use me anyways in my professional life. And so I want the other people to know me, right? I want the other people to do that. And so I'm just going to kind of throw out some questions to the group, and you guys can kind of answer at leisure, I guess, is, so, if we're not creating content for ourselves, right? If it's not really about us, like, what is it for? Like, who are we trying to create that for? Like, what is it that actually moves the needle?
For us, I think our hook is help. We offer a service that is private pay. What we're doing right now is we're doing a study and a pilot project with Medicare, offering 80 hours of free home care and 8 years of case management for all of our clients that qualify. And it's very easy to qualify. We have Medicare A and B and a mild memory impairment. And for people that are getting zero help at all, you can verify this with Tiffany or Traci. If they are getting nothing, this is huge. This is huge. This is something that they would never be able to pay for themselves. And if we can help, that is our hook. We are providing a service. And yes, we like our private pay clients, but we're able to service a whole population of human beings and meet all kinds of people we'd never get to meet without this program.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so it's more about educating, right, than just putting a picture out there with a funny little tagline under it or something. It's truly giving value and not, like I said, not just putting the funny to get the laughs, to get the likes. There, you're actually providing good information, solid information that they can take with them.
And to go with what Traci said, I think you have to make people feel. So you're giving them education, but at the same time, you're making them feel something. And once they feel it, then they're really going to listen to the rest of the content. I call it story selling, not storytelling. And when you do that, you're pulling them in first. They're feeling something, and then you hit them with whatever product, service, or anything else that you're trying to share to pull them into you. They want to hear more from you.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you could find your help hook in almost any profession that you're in. You could find whatever that hook is to help someone.
What do you think, Scott?
So what we focus on in all of our content strategies is the what's in it for them effect. And so when we create any piece of content, the first thing that you need to have in mind is what does the audience wants? What does the audience want? And then how can you create a piece of content that effectively, especially for business owners, that effectively exchanges value, gives them what they want, but then also has a reciprocal effect. And so I think Tiffany said it really well. It's like you gotta get them. You have to trigger an emotion with any piece of content, and the emotion can't just be like excitement that there's a 50% off sale for some product somewhere, because we get hammered with that stuff all day, every single day. So it just becomes noise. The emotional level is something that's like, okay, this stands out from the rest. It is actually valuable, and I'm willing to give my time or my energy to watch this and take action by it. So, but making sure that you answer the question, what's in it for them, is crucial.
And I think the truth is we have a lot of noise happening, right? More and more now that we have so much, AI and all the other things or whatever. And so what is going to actually stop, force them to stop the scroll to actually hear what you have to say, right? That you're connecting with them on a deeper level. Because if you're not stopping the scroll, again, you're just kind of making it for what purpose? It's just kind of hanging out there. And you can have the best product under the sun, right? You can be the best, person, but if they don't have any clue who you are, what good is it?
Yeah. And Scott would know this better than me. I'm not formally trained. I train myself, but, I think the hook matters, the position in which you put it, because if you don't stop them right away, you've lost them. There's just too much going on. And so I think that's an important piece too.
I was going to say, you probably don't know this, but Scott is like not only the master of the hooks, but the master of the micro hooks. He loves to keep engaging them.
The hook you don't even know was there.
Yeah, okay, so let's go into like some of these nuancy things. So yes, hooks extraordinarily important. You have to win them over within half of a second. Otherwise, we just get in swipe mode. Right when they're watching, they're settling in for a YouTube video, you have a little bit longer, maybe 10, 15 seconds, but if you're doing a short form piece of content like a reel or a TikTok, you have to grab them instantly. And so a lot of times like you'll see people who do really well who are like they'll start their video holding something up. They're like, this right here, these nail clippers. I don't know why they're on my desk. But these nail clippers are the reason why you can make $1 million in the next 30 days. Right now you've got them engaged. And then the micro hook is just having open loops every 5 to 10 seconds that you then close later on in the video. So that way you keep them hanging. It's actually called the Zygarnik effect, where it's a cliffhanger that you open a loop and you open loops and close loops all throughout your content. And then you keep them watching your content for longer and longer. So if you can get really good at doing those things, then you can build an audience relatively quickly. But it all starts with what's the value that you're offering, and then how do you make sure that they know, how do you present it in a unique way that they want to pay attention and they feel inclined to do business with you after they're done watching your content.
Scott, I've got a question for you on that. Is it good like to do those short little reels and putting out there like a did you know and go into a little snippet of something, how to make Medicaid work for you in senior living? Did you know, blah, and then for more details, click the link below. Does that give too much, or do you put the did you know piece in that short little segment?
Yeah, so every piece of content needs to have inherent value. So if you open a loop and you don't close it in the video, people hate that. And I mean, you can see it in the comments whenever you go to like TikTok and you watch a multi-part series, people are just like, stop making us wait, just do it all in one video. But they do that on purpose. It's to keep people on their platform watching more, and it gives it rewards the algorithm.
Or that click, right?
Yeah. My advice always is to create content that has complete thoughts. Otherwise you'll end up offending people. I don't want to say offending people. It's annoying to people. And it's like this little, it's a psychological trigger that they don't even know that they're subconsciously experiencing, but they're also subconsciously forming a judgment of your content. It's like, oh great, she's going to pitch me something again. Well, I'm just going to avoid. I'm going to swipe. And so when I do any piece of content like that, you have to make sure that the content has a beginning, middle, and an end, and it's wrapped up in value.
Good. Thank you.
Good point.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we do, like as small business owners, when you're starting out and you're trying to figure out how to create content, I think the hook aspect is probably one of the more important pieces, mainly because it's not something that all of us do naturally well. Greatest strength. As I know, it's very surprising for everyone who knows me that brevity is not my strength. So hooks are hard for me. But this is where, when you're working on content, you've got your good old buddy ChatGPT to help you with these kinds of things, right? Because the truth is, I'm not necessarily the most proficient at that. However, I've gotten better, not only via practice and following experts like Scott and learning. But yeah, I mean, that's going to help our content start going deeper and connecting on a deeper level. Because I think a lot of us know we need to bring value, and we inherently understand that, and most of us as a business owner, small business owner, that's why we start our business, right? We have a heart for people and we want to help our clients and we want to help their pain. But if we're not getting them to stay, and to Scott's point, kind of to stick, you're not going to be able to land and really get down that path like you're wanting to. Right. And so that, and ultimately as a small business owner, that's our aim, right? Is to get them right to come into our world and our space and want to do business with us ultimately.
I'll say this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
one of the things I wanted to point out, Tiffany said she's putting out a book regarding home care. A lot of what the content is, and I've seen a lot of it on LinkedIn and other home care people and professionals, presidents, whatever, have commented. The content is transferable. It's more of a leadership content and a content of how to run your business with value.
Yep. What were you going to say, Scott?
I was going to say, most people don't know what value sounds like coming out of their own mouth, right? Most people, I mean, if you read Win Friends and Influence People, like most people want to just talk about themselves, but that's not inherently valuable. We think that it is because it feels good to talk about ourselves. It feels good to tell you all the wins that I've had, but nobody outside of you actually really cares about that. They're thinking about what can I take away from this that will enhance my life? And so as business owners, sometimes like when we get too into the weeds and like our nuancy things in our business, it's just confusing to people. Look, case in point, insurance agents, right? If you ever talk to an insurance agent, and they will, especially the ones that are good, they nerd out over like insurance riders and umbrella policies. And you're just like, what do you care? I mean, what do I care? But when they say something like, we had a family that came in last week, the husband died, they didn't have any insurance. They were trying to see if there was anything we could do. Boom. Like, I don't care about riders. I don't care about insurance policies. I don't care about any of the technical stuff. I'm just like, I don't want to leave my family like that. Where do I sign? Right. And so we have to know what is valuable from an audience perspective. And that takes a lot of effort, because we have to get outside of what we like normally like to talk about when we're talking to people and put ourselves in their shoes. That's really difficult.
Well, and sometimes you can out-expert yourself. You know, once you become the expert, your ego comes in, you start talking, you know, and you forget your audience. And so you out-expert yourself in ways that people no longer want to read what you have to say because it doesn't make sense to them. Scott just made that very clear. It's psychology too.
Well, I was going to say, I also think that a lot of times it's not that you out-expert yourself. You're just, you know your craft so well and at such a level that explaining it to like somebody who doesn't understand it and in a way that they actually will hear it, to Scott's point, right? Like, I know all kinds of weird data points about all kinds of things financial, right? Not just mortgage, but like, how does insurance work? How does all, and because I've worked in all these fields, so I'm really, really well versed, but like, how do I explain it in a way, like Scott said, where it becomes emotional and we're connecting on a deeper level? Because yes, me droning on and on about mortgage guidelines, like all y'all are going to start falling asleep. You're going to be like, what? And not only that, you don't even want to know about it. You just want to know that I can fix that problem for you on the back end. And then that's really all you care about. The rest of it, you're like, whatever, dude. I just want to be able to buy the beautiful house I want to buy. And then you figure out that other part.
Mm-hmm. Well, and on social media, our audience is so diverse. We don't know who's watching at what time, if that's our direct audience, or so we've got to kind of, and that's why I always, you know, try to be as real and just be me in that world and not be over professional in a sense. I don't know if that's the right word I'm looking for, but because I've got to relate to everybody, right? We've got to relate to everybody because everybody knows a senior over 65. So I got to be relatable to everybody at every age group. So, yeah.
Well, let's talk for a second about authenticity and content, because I'm going to argue, and maybe Scott disagrees with me, but authenticity is about to become the biggest differentiator when it comes to content because of how much AI stuff is there, right? Because let's be real, if you're just delivering information, AI, you can have your exact voice and all the things or whatever. What is going to separate you and start kind of pulling the distance of the gap is going to be the fact that you are authentically you and able to speak to them in a way that talks to them specifically, not just to you.
Not sound like AI.
I think people want to know you're in the trenches with them, not talking to them from the mountaintops. And when I say that, makes you more authentic when you're in the trenches with them and you can relate to them. So I think authenticity comes from, hey, I'm here with you. I've done it. I'm doing it. I relate when I read posts like, okay, man, it's not just me. I'm not alone. They've been through it. Now I want to read more. What else do they have to say? What did they do to fix it?
Hero's journey posts are like the absolute most effective, right? Because it's I think Russell Brunson calls it the empathy bridge, right? When you show somebody that you have been where they are, and then you can show them a path out of it, then they have this little bridge that's formed because of empathy that's relatable, and it gives them an epiphany that like creates a switch. Jax, I don't disagree with your comments though about artificial intelligence and authenticity at all. In fact, the pendulum, like we're watching it happen in real time. Like the pendulum is swinging so far away from hyper edited content, overly produced content, back to this like really grounded, very raw types of content on YouTube, on TikTok. Gen Zs are starting to do like vlogging again, which kind of died off like 7-8 years ago. And the vlogs aren't even like, they're not even like good now. I mean, it's just like, hey, follow me around. And I'm like, what's the point? But it's
you have no
Gen
room
Z
to
thing, I
talk.
guess,
You
going
watch
on.
lawn mowing videos. I'll hear about it.
Hey, there is inherent value in lawn mowing videos. I'll have you know.
Only if you
you're
have to
making
mow
order
them
from
all.
disorder.
I was gonna say I don't know what it is, but I'm glad that you find it entertaining.
It's order. It's order out of disorder. It's one of those like it's oddly satisfying. So there's definitely like value. It puts me at ease. It gives me calmness.
But
Okay.
Scott, I gotta ask, do you mow your own lawn?
Of course.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
of course. I have 2 lawns and I mow them. And it is brutal in the summer, but that's where I do my best creative thinking, is when all of my senses are like stimulated and I can
Right.
just be in my head.
So that's your version of the shower? Because a lot of people say
It's
that
my
like,
version of the
shower's their
shower.
place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
long
gonna say-
drives and mowing the lawn.
I was gonna say, I gotta know from everybody, because this is something that I'm not inherently great at, because I sometimes get in my own head about being salesy. And so let's talk a little bit about call to actions, because I think that's another mistake that a lot of business owners are making, is that they're producing content. Maybe they're getting the hook piece correct, right? And they're drawing people in. But if we're not taking them across and trying to get them to do some sort of action, unless we're simply producing content to make money off of just, like through back end channels, right? Like YouTube or Meta or anything like that. Like, what is the best practice for ensuring that we create sufficient call to actions that are actually moving the needle? Because if we're not leading to revenue, I mean, why as business owners are we even really creating content to begin with?
Yeah, I'm real bad about that call to action thing. Really bad. I just figure that you're supposed to do something because you listen to me.
On the psychology side, they'd say that like if you don't give them something to do, they won't, like as humans, we won't inherently do it.
Right.
It's funny because in my book, I identify 4 leadership styles, and there's 2 of them that are going to do call to action better, whether in person or on social media, and 2 who aren't. One of them being the connector. The connector just wants relationship. I don't want to call to action. And so that's natural. So we almost have to look at our style, even when it comes to posting, and think about, okay, this is uncomfortable for me, but I know it has to be done. But I think even understanding why it's uncomfortable to you is a big piece of it too. And that's what I lay out in my book. Why don't I want to do this? What is my blind spot? I'm going to help you get over it because of, the way that maybe you're wired. I'll let Scott hit on what works, because I don't, but I do know from that standpoint, there is a lot to be said about where you fall.
Yeah.
What do you think, Scott?
I'm totally with Jax on that.
Yeah.
Totally with Jax. I don't like to be salesy, and that's what I feel like I'm coming off as. And so, Scott, fix us.
So I guess what I was trying to say, Tracy, is there's a mindset shift too that has to be done. It's not just the content; it's a mindset shift before the content.
Yeah.
I feel very bad. Go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, there's a couple books that I'd highly recommend everybody read. Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson, $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. Phenomenal books, and they will help flip the mindset. When I read Expert Secrets, we went from We went from 6 figures in our company to multi 6 figures. When I read $100 million offers, we went from 6 figures to 7 figures in our business. And one of the things that I've learned with calls, first and foremost, the reason I recommend these books is because they'll help you flip that switch. They help you understand that it's okay to offend people, just being yourself. It's okay to offend people in your marketing, and they help you not take that part of the business so serious. I think a lot of times what happens in CTAs is that we are nervous that we're going to say something that people are going to reject, and so we just don't say it at all because we don't want to feel that rejection. But here's a strategy for CTAs that actually is like gold. It's called the curiosity gap method. And so what you do is you wrap whatever it is that you're trying to offer, whatever it is wherever you're trying to send them to, you wrap it in value. So it would work like this. So if I'm talking to a YouTube audience and I'm trying to bring somebody in to our coaching program, I would say something like, hey guys, for the last 6 months, I've been doing something very specific at the end of my videos that has made a huge difference in my audience retention and my click-through rates. And I break it all down in this video right here, or I break it all down in this short report that I left in my description. You can just click the link, take it or leave it. No problem. But if you want to see what that is, I broke it all down for you. Now it's a very passive approach, but their curiosity is triggered enough for them to go and click. And we've gotten thousands and thousands of leads from just using that method, because you're not asking them for a sale, and then you're just getting them into your pipeline. And then once you have them in your pipeline, you can continue doing that in your email sequences to set sales calls. You can even do it in your sales calls to get them to the finish line. And but it's a very strategic model or method of creating a very low effort, passive type of a CTA in your content that will get results. So highly recommend trying the curiosity gap method.
I like that.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, because I think it is something that I know, first of all, I restricted and withheld from even creating content for the longest because I didn't like the way I looked on video, or I felt like I needed to be some kind of way. And you're probably right. I probably inherently don't like to do call to action because I feel like there's going to be some kind of rejection, which the hilarious part is I wouldn't even know because it's on the other side of the screen. So like, I have no idea if they're clicking anything or not clicking anything or whatever. Right. But it is important to know that if we are creating content and we are creating it for business relevancy and we are creating it to try to generate leads, right, so that we can make some revenue, that we do have to be actively creating a call to action, because without it, they're not necessarily going to know to do. Because yes, some of us think, oh, well, we will go that's the other reason I don't do it, is I'm the curious person. And if I am interested enough in you and what you're saying, if you don't have a call to action, I'm naturally going to go seek you out, because that's just how my brain works. But not everybody is like that, right? Most people need very clear, here's the step, click this button, and then so you can move forward. But that's not necessarily everybody. So, you just got to remember to do it if we are really trying to create content that actually converts and makes a difference.
But if you get them onto your email list, it's best anyway, because you think about, if they stop by your video, it's the only time they're ever going to see you, and they don't take action to purchase your product. But you can get them on an email list. It's a much easier transaction to say, come join my email list, or download this for free, and then, collect their email. That's a much easier conversion than trying to sell them straight from your video, or trying to book a call straight from your video, because now you have an asset, you have their name, you have their information, and you can keep hitting them over and over and over again until they either purchase, unsubscribe, or just never take any action at all.
Yeah. Well, I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say that email, conversions from email is actually one of the higher kind, because of exactly what you said. Like, they were over here and they came in, and then you've been dripping on them for however long a period of time. And then when they finally get to that point where they're like, oh yeah, I need Traci's advice, I need, Cyndi helping me with this or whatever, then boom, they're there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Any other thoughts on that, guys?
I feel sometimes the call to action, I'm too pushy because to me it makes so much sense. It's so logical, so straight to the point. Okay, let's do this. And even if I've made that emotional connection and they're indecisive, I switch into logic mode. And I think that in my profession, I think that disconnects me a bit.
Well, I was going to say, if you've watched any of the stuff that Russell Brunson's ever done, he talks about the fact that we don't buy from logical place. We buy from an emotional place.
Mhm.
So we probably, we got to keep it where we're connecting with that emotional piece.
Right.
That's
When
so
I was going to say, when I catch myself doing that, my neck, you're like, oh gosh, look what I just did. I'm like, well, how else can I help you? That's always ask. How else can we help you?
I got a
Well,
quick
let's wrap
question,
up with
Jax.
last thoughts, and then we got to move to what's the difference. Sorry, we could probably talk about this all day.
Hey, Jax, I got a quick question if we can.
Go ahead.
So Scott mentioned something before, and I wanted to kind of tie into that about offending people. How many of you find yourself afraid that you will lose a connection or a relationship if you ask for a sale?
I think
Because
it
that's
depends on my
something
mood.
It's
if I'm
kind-
honest.
Well, for me, it's kind of hard because I'm not selling like to one entity.
So, well, all right, let me rephrase it then. The call to action, right?
Right.
If you are afraid that you're going to be appear to be pushy by asking them to move to the next step, whatever that next step is. So you become reserved and you don't ask because you don't want to be pushy.
Well, I think that's why a lot of times we end up not selling to friends. You know, I also do real estate, and a lot of my friends would end up using somebody else in the beginning, but yet I never asked them. I'm less afraid to ask a stranger and to get the no from them than I am from somebody I know. So I think it's layered. I'd like to say I'm fearless, and a lot of times I think I am, but if I'm thinking about standing in front of a friend, there are times I've been a little fearful that I'm gonna, shake that relationship a little bit.
Exactly. Well, and so my question to follow up with that, Tiffany and Scott and everybody else, is what have you lost if you do that and someone kind of puts the stop sign up? Have you really lost anything?
Probably not.
No, you haven't. You really haven't.
Alex Hormozy has a great post that he like recycles like once or twice a year, and it says something along the lines of, the people who are your friends today, most of them won't come to your funeral. Most of them who come to your funeral will forget about you the second they leave, and they'll be thinking about what's for dinner. So why are you caring about what they think about you now? And I mean, it's like morbid, but it's super powerful. It's like, of course, yeah. Why would I even care what anybody thinks about my business or my business model? Again, they're probably not even thinking about me. They're thinking about what they're going to do later tonight, or the fight they just had with their spouse, or their money problems, or how they hate their job. Like, there's so many other things going on in their life they're thinking about other than me. And so even when they are offended, it's generally not me that offended them. It's something else that's going on in their life that made them react the way that they're reacting.
Well, my mentor, and then I'll let Jax close us out, but my mentor told me years ago, he goes, you have to use the call to action as your filter to see who you can mesh with. And I use that mesh term a lot. Yeah. Who you can mesh with and who doesn't want to mesh with you. Because that's where you're going to invest your time and money, right? Mm-hmm. With people that you can build something with. And it goes both ways. So I don't have a problem doing it.
Well, I think that pretty much puts a bow on our business topic of the month. A really great conversation. And so now we're going to move into, and you can play the sounder, Lyndon, for what's the difference?
And now it's time for What's the Difference?
Okay, so we're going to go kind of round robin. I'm going to ask questions, just be brief and brilliant, and then we will give the actual, Webster's dictionary answer, if you will. Okay, so Tiffany, we will start with you. What's the difference between posting and publishing?
between posting and publishing on what, social media?
It just says posting and publishing, so you can interpret that as you will.
I mean, I'm publishing a book right now. That's a lot different than posting on LinkedIn. There's a lot more that goes into it. I guess that's my take on it. Publishing is when, you know, you're putting your heart and soul into it. Posting is as well, but it's just a lot quicker turnaround.
Yeah. So the kind of the idea here is that posting is a little bit more random visibility, where publishing is a little bit more strategic. We're kind of trying to position ourselves in such a way, right? So I think pretty much you nailed it or whatever. And you're right. Publishing a book is definitely different for sure. I've done that too. So I feel you. All right, Scott, we'll go to you. What's the difference between engagement and conversion?
Engagement is getting people to react emotionally to your content, and if in a visible way. So likes, comments, shares, and conversion is getting them to take action in a directed manner based off of what you said in your piece of content.
You pretty much nailed it there too. So engagement is attention, which you gave a much more beautiful description of attention, but yes. And then conversion is actually getting them to move to action. So perfect. All right. Next up, we will go to you, Cyndi. What is the difference between being real and being relevant?
I think being real is just being yourself. You can be real and not be relevant about anything. Being relevant is being timely and being engaged in content that matters.
Yeah. So being real is more about being you, right? Like being true to yourself. Where just being relevant is more about who's watching or reading or seeing your thing, right? Because you can be true to yourself, but if you're not being relevant to what's going on with them, are we really landing like in the form, you know, because we're talking about content as far as that goes. Okay, Traci, now we are to you. What's the difference between authority and approachability?
Authority is your credibility. It's knowing your stuff. It's what makes everybody trust you. Approachability, I would say, is more your vibe. It's that warmth. It's that caring, that they'll look at you and say, wow, Traci's the real deal, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, in the Webster's Dictionary version, they say, you know, authority builds trust, right? And so, you know, kind of lets people know that you know what you're talking about. And then approachability is what's creating, like you said, that connection, right? The vibe, if you will, is the way you described it. The last one, we're just going to go to the group. So you guys feel free to answer in whatever order you'd like. What's the difference between showing up and being remembered?
Well, I'm telling you, if you karaoke Rapper's Delight, you will be remembered.
I think showing up and being remembered is the difference between being present. You can show up somewhere and not be present. To be remembered, you have to be present. You have to be in the moment and you have to engage.
Yeah, showing up is like being the chatty Cathy at a party.
Mm-hmm.
And being remembered is like you linger on after you've left the room, right?
I want to add to that too, like
you're being remembered.
My bad. My add-on is to be remembered, you need to be unapologetically who you are and unapologetically lean into your unique value. And if you lean, everybody has value that's like a thumbprint, right? It's so different from everybody. Even if you're in the same niche, like the way you approach things, so different. If you do something different and it's unique to you, it's your fingerprint, then you're going to be remembered. Showing up is like going through the motions. There's a lot of people who just go through the motions. Like you hear this all the time. There are people who are like, all you got to do is post once a day or twice a day on TikTok and you're going to grow. I'm like, that's showing up. If you don't show up with a unique value, then it's not going to do anything.
I'll add to what Scott said. You know, as I've grown, I've also realized being me is what's remembered. And kind of like he said, when I used to be like everybody else, I just kind of was there. as I, started really loving me, being, uniquely made like I am, I started being remembered.
Yeah. Well, and it says showing up is frequency and being remembered is impact, which I mean, yeah, like to Scott's point, you can keep posting and posting and posting, right? But you want to be remembered, you want to have impact. So that pretty much puts a bow on what's the difference. Amazing conversation, really great depth. Love that. On the flip side of this commercial break, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into Tiffany and Scott, how they got to be where they are, what makes them tick, and all that kind of good stuff. So stick around, and we will see you on the flip side of this commercial break.
At the Community Difference Business Development Alliance, powered by the Difference Media, LLC, our mission is to empower small business owners by transcending acceptable behaviors and outcomes into exceptional realms. We foster a culture of self-awareness, accountability, and proactive engagement, guiding individuals to recognize and overcome indifference towards transformative actions, habits, behaviors, and processes driving meaningful change. Through strategic networking, impactful content creation, and innovative top-of-mind strategies, we cultivate brand relevance and differentiation, enabling our partners and the Difference community to stand out in crowded markets. With a focus on building authentic connections, amplifying brand presence, and driving sustainable growth, we equip entrepreneurs with the tools and mindset to navigate the complexities of entrepreneurship with confidence, innovation, and resilience. Together, we aim to be the catalyst for difference makers, propelling them towards their highest potential and leaving a lasting impact on their businesses and communities. That's where our community podcasts come in. These podcasts lie directly at the intersection of innovative business development and community involvement, helping to bridge the gap between small business obscurity often seen in our communities. The community-based podcasts called the Community Difference Series are an integral part of integrating all facets of modern business development into a package of great content, positive impact branding, and top-of-mind presence, thus fulfilling the greater mission we set forth. When we set out to be difference makers, we can learn to make a difference and find the success and impact innately desired by all business owners and entrepreneurs. We are difference makers.
All right, and welcome back. So now we move into the guest deep dive. So I know all of you guys have been wondering this whole show about all these really interesting things we talked about, like Tiffany's cheer ability. And what do you mean Scott hit himself into a tree or something with a rope? I'm not exactly sure that whole story. So we're going to start digging in. So Tiffany, what you're still, were you a cheerleader in high school or?
So I did competitive cheerleading. Everyone in Plano is going to know cheer athletics. So I grew up in that space. I was actually on HBO Real Sports. There was a whole special on cheerleading. So I through and through a cheerleader. That's why apparently I still think I am sometimes. My husband was okay with it. And I still try to do some flips every once in a while. It's a thing.
I'm impressed that you can still do them. I don't think my body would let me do any of the things I could used to do about 20 years ago, but that's awesome.
Nope.
What about you, Scott? Tell us a little bit about this rope experience.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I was a very I was a very impulsive child. And for better and worse, which has made me a great entrepreneur once I like reined it in. I'm like, okay, we're gonna take action. We're gonna do this. But when I was a kid, I was just like, I'm gonna act before I think about anything. And so I lived in Boise, Idaho. I grew up in Boise, Idaho, and they have this Boise River. And if anybody has ever been to Boise, it's an amazing place, and the river is beautiful.
Beautiful.
But there are constantly people floating down it in the summer. So one summer we go out there, there's this tree that has a rope and we're doing our thing and having fun and jumping out to splash people. And I was going to let go to splash this lady, but she was right underneath me. And I was like, I can't do this. So I held on, came back, hit the tree, woke up, downstream, and yeah, ended up saving her life. So let's just say that.
Go for risk taker, Scott.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
So, Tiffany, what drove you down this path of what you do now, and like what makes you tick, I guess?
Yeah, so I accidentally got into home care at 23, and I ended up being a home care owner. And after I sold the business, I accidentally became a home care coach. And what I realized along the way, I was kind of thinking about Scott on the commercial break. You know, he's really good at reading patterns and trends with social media and online. I've always kind of done the same with people in person. And so that's kind of where, you know, this book stemmed from. As I was coaching these home care owners all across the US, what I realized is, you know, we're coaching them all one way, but they all tick so differently. And they don't need to understand psychology. They don't want to, they don't have the time. But, you know, I was like, there's a method behind this. And everybody needs to understand this about themselves in this industry, and the coaches and everybody else working with them, because one size just doesn't fit all. And so I'm really driven by understanding people. And I kind of equate it to, like I said, Scott does it online, I do it in person. And so I wanted to do it on a grander scale.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
I was gonna say, didn't Scott, you end up on this on accident? Was it the retainer thing that sort of made you start taking off?
Oh, no. So that retainer thing was like how I figured out that YouTube would work for business. But yeah, and that's actually super interesting. So before I started our agency, our YouTube agency in 2019, I was a full-time YouTuber from 2017 to 2019. And I stumbled upon this like idea for how to create content for business owners, because I owned an orthodontic lab at the time. So I was a full-time YouTuber. We just got rid of our orthodontic lab, but during the process, I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to try and make some retainers, some cool retainers for kids getting out of braces, and I'm going to film it. And so I made this like unicorn horn retainer. You'd like pop this thing in, and it's got this like huge chunk of acrylic that just like sticks out of the kid's mouth. I did the one that was like a turtle that was like trying to climb out of their mouth. And they blew up. They got millions of views. And then all of a sudden I started getting comments that were like, make me one. How much does this cost? I'll pay whatever it costs. Just send me one. And I got thousands of comments on these videos. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I could just replicate this type of content, or this, the idea behind this content, the strategy, and we can use that for business owners, I can blow up any YouTube channel. And so that's what we've been doing for the last 6 years, is just using those strategies that I learned during that time to help business owners create unique and interesting content that fuels their business.
Cyndi, do you have any questions for Tiffany? I was gonna say, because I'm always gonna ask. I'm always interested in people. I love people. So, Tiffany, what's something that people have misunderstood about your journey to where you are now?
What have people misunderstood about it? I almost think it's more the question of what did I misunderstand about it?
Very fair.
I never thought I was going to be here when I owned the business. I didn't think home care was my end all. I also never thought I would be a coach. I'm a performer. I'm a cheerleader. I like doing. I like the sales itself. And as I really stepped back, I realized I'm more of the fire starter. And I like to ignite things in people. So I think I almost surprised myself more than surprising anybody else, because I just never saw that character trait in me. And here I am, and I'm trying to do it on, you know, a grand scale. And I get way more out of helping other people and serving other people and getting them to understand themselves better than I ever did, you know, with myself and owning my own business.
Yeah, no, I love that. What about you, Traci? You got any questions for Scott?
Yeah, what's your hourly rate to come and do all my media stuff? I know I couldn't afford you, never mind.
I was gonna say, do you really want to know? Yes. It's expensive.
No, I gained so many nuggets out of this when I listened to you, and it always sounds so easy, right? You always make it sound so easy, but for some of us, it's not.
Yeah.
For those of us that it's not quite so easy, even though we know all of these things are the right thing to do, what would be your first step? If you were to tell someone like me in her 60s who started her business way late in life and doesn't do this stuff, what would be the first thing to do or not do?
Yeah. So, simplicity and ease comes with repetition. It doesn't come from over analyzing everything from the beginning and trying to start perfectly. That's like the recipe for burnout. So what I always tell everybody is think what is something valuable that I have to share, press record, press stop record, immediately upload, let the audience have whatever it is that you put out there, and then just keep doing that every single day. And if you do that every single day, what happens is you will have some videos that hit better than others. Some will get, the first couple will get 25 views, and then you'll have something that gets 300 views. You'll be like, okay, what was different about this? Usually it's topic related. Well, now you have a topic that becomes one content vertical, one content pillar, and you can hit that over and over and over again. And every time you do that, you're going to start to see, oh my gosh, now I'm getting 300 views, 500 views, 1,000 views. And if you keep doing that long enough, you will be able to form a sixth sense about what your audience wants from you and then how to deliver it. And then it becomes easy because you have just put in the repetition. You have you've shown up with intention and given value, and now you know what your audience wants from you. So just press record, just upload, and be fearless, and the audience will tell you what they want.
I have a question for Tiffany. Did you ever see yourself as a coach?
I did not. Like I said, I loved being coached, but I love performing. So coach seems behind the scenes. So somebody like me who thinks, the spotlight was made for me, it was different. And, as I've gotten older, I've realized it's not about the spotlight. It is about the impact. And so, no, I never thought I'd be the coach. It kind of fell in my lap, but you know what? Sometimes we get curveballs.
Well, we're almost out of time, guys. So just real quickly, I'm going to go Tiffany first and then Scott. Just wrap us up. Give us a little what you learned today, where we can find you, and then we'll move on to Scott. Same to you.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Scott today. Obviously, I do social media on my own, not at the scale that he is. So I really appreciate all the information and insights from him. You can find me on LinkedIn under Tiffany Dutcher. It's not Dutcher. It is Dutcher. But right now I'm just kind of in the background writing my book and doing things for home care owners that'll come to light soon within the next 6 to 8 months.
It's awesome.
Great.
I learned that I need to connect better with people in the local area because you guys are all awesome, and I've really appreciated being here and being able to share just a little bit of value, but then also just network and get to know some local folks even better. That's been invaluable to me, so I appreciate that. People can find me, just Google Raffiti. It's graffiti without the G, Raffiti, and you can find our YouTube channel, our Instagram, my Instagram, everything from there.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for your input, your insight. Hopefully this show has been super helpful, like it has for most of us on the show, just about diving deeper into content, because as business owners, like I said, what our goal is we want to really land that content, make that revenue, right? Grow our businesses. And that's all about what the difference is. So we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you for watching today's show.
The Community Difference Plano is made possible by Harvey Lucier with Twilight Cleaning Services, Traci Duff with Assisted Living Locators, Jax Crider with Financial Mastery Simplified, Susanna Austin with K9 Resorts, Audra Hooper with Audra Hooper Integrated Health, Cyndi Durrance with Right at Home, In-Home Care and Assistance, and by Kirk Hodgson with Assured Partners. The Community Difference Plano. Together, we can make the difference.